Want to make your game feel more professional with a smooth scene transition and clean animations? In this tutorial, I will show you exactly how to create scene animations and load scenes step by step in Unity using C Sharp. Even if you are beginner, you will able to follow along and implement this in your own game. Huge thanks to my Patreon supporters Kage Sicario and Alexandra Bogdias for making these tutorials possible. Now let's jump right in and start building.
First step, we need to create the canvas. So go over to hierarchy, right click or hit this plus icon, then go to UI and select this canvas in the bottom. Then choose your canvas, then go over to canvas scalar component and choose UI scale mode to scale with the screen size, and in the X or in the width choose 1920, and in the Y or in the height choose 1080. And if your game in a portrait mode, then you can just swipe this value and it's up to you. Basically it's good to go. And now what we're gonna do, we're gonna create the game object, we're just gonna fade in. So first thing, we're gonna choose our canvas and we're gonna create an empty parent game object, because we just want to keep our canvas clean. So that's why to do that, let's select our canvas, we're going to right click on it, let's create an empty child game object, and we can name this game object to something like fate underscore in, just like that. And I'm gonna drag it this game object somewhere around here. And now what we're gonna do, we're gonna make an image underneath this game object and it's gonna fade in. So basically we're gonna select our game object, and the first thing we have to do, we need to make sure we just make this game object as the size of our canvas. To do that, choose the game object, then go over to inspector rect transform, then click here, and we're gonna hold down all and choose this bottom right one. And as soon as we have chosen, we can see this game object gets resized as the size of our canvas. And now we're going to choose our fade underscore in, we're going to right click on it, let's go to UI, and then we're going to choose this image. And we have to make sure we just make this image as the size of our fade underscore in game object or the canvas. So let's select the image, we will go to rect transform, and then we will choose this bottom right one. And I just want to have black color, so I will go to image component and then I'm going to choose black color. And the first thing, we have to make sure it should be transparent. So make sure you click on this color once again, and in the A, basically in the bottom A, you can see, so drag it all the way to the 0, and just like this. And now we're gonna make the animation. We're gonna make the animation. So let's select the image component, and we will move over to our animation tab. And if you're not able to find the animation tab, then go over to window in the top, then animation, and you can see the shortcut key as well as the animator tab. And now we're going to choose our image, let's click on this create button inside animation tab, and I will go over to my animation folder. You can create a separate folder for your animation, and I'm gonna place it inside my animation folder, and we have to name the animation. I'm gonna call it something like fate underscore in, just like that I'm gonna call it. And now we need to make the animation, so we're gonna click on this red button and we will move over to 1 second or 60 frames. And over here what we want to do, we just want to fade in. Basically we will go to image component in the inspector, then click on this color and make this a in the bottom all the way to the right side, make it 255. And if we click on this play button, we can see once again it just fading in. And now we're going to click on that red button to capture the animation clip, and we need to make sure this animation clip should not be looped. So what we need to do, we need to go over to project tab, then animation folder, basically where we place it the animation. So in my case I place it inside this animations folder, and I have the animation clip over here, I can see, which is fade underscore in. So I'm going to choose that, and I'm going to uncheck the loop time in the inspector, so this animation clip will not be looped at all. And right now what we're going to do, we're going to disable this game object, and we're going to enable it once we're going to get at the end of our level, and once I'm going to click the next button, something just like that. So I'm going to I'm going to choose my fade underscore in, and I will uncheck, basically disabling. And now we need a reference to this game object so we can activate when we want. So we're doing inside our victory UI, and we have the next button there, and you can create a script for it, something like scene management. So basically go over to your project tab, assets, right click, create mono behavior script, and name it to something like scene management. I already created that script and I have it inside my scripts folder, which I have it over here. And make sure you can attach that game object to any game object in your hierarchy. So I'm gonna open up the script by double clicking on it. We're gonna come at the top of our class because we need a reference to that game object, so we can just enable it. So we're gonna come at the top of our class. Let's make a public, and that fate in itself a game object. So we have to type game object variable type, and we can call it something like, let's call it fate underscore in, just like that. And now we have to make sure we just drag the reference. So let's save our script and we will go over to our script. Sorry, we will go over to Unity editor. Underneath our scene management script, we can see none game object, which is fade in. So let's take our fade in, let's drag it there. Now we have the game object and it's time to enable it. When we want to enable it, once we're gonna load the next level, so we're gonna make a function to load the next level. To do that, make sure you just come at the top of your class and include this namespace using Unity Engine scene management whenever you're working with scene. So make sure you include that. And now I'm gonna make a function in order to load the next level. So I'm gonna make it something like this over here. So, and I'm gonna make this function public void, and we can call it something like load next level, just like that we can call it. And we're gonna make first bracket and some curly brackets. And to load the next level, what we want to do, we want to enable the this game object which is fade in, so we can enable it. But instead of using this function over here, we're gonna use I enumerator. Basically we just want to wait for 1 second, and after 1 second we just want to transition. We just want to have a transition to next level after 1 second, because after 1 second we do know that we completing the fate in animation clip. So after that amount of time we need to load the next level. So that's why, so instead of using this function, basically we're gonna use that. We're gonna create another function to something like activate game object or next level ready, something just like we can make it. And for that we basically have to come at the top of our class, and we also need to include this namespace called using system.collection. So make sure you enable, so you can use that function called I enumerator. So we have to use this I enumerator, and we have to name the function. And this function basically delays whatever we want to delay or whatever we want to do after some period of time. So this function just gonna help with that. And we can call it something like load next scene. So let's call it something just like that. And we're gonna make first bracket and some curly brackets. And over here, first thing what we have to do, we need to enable that fade in game object. So we will go to fade in game object, so fade underscore in, which we already have the reference, and we're gonna use this dot set active function to activate. And now we need to set it to true or false. Since we want to activate, so we're gonna set it to true. And after that, like 1 second, we just want to load up the next level. So we're gonna wait for 1 second. For that we need to use this yell return new wait 4 seconds, and inside brackets you need to pass the time. So after like 1 second we completing the whole animation clip which is fade in. So we're gonna put 1f, so after 1 second. And after that we are ready to load the next level. And to load the next level we have to use this scene manager dot load scene function. And this function basically just gonna take the name of the scene inside quotation or the build index of it. To see that, just go over to Unity editor. In the top left file, go to top left file, build profiles, and choose scene list in the left side left bar inside build profile tabs, and you can see the scene name in the left side, and in the right side we can see the build index. So the name of the scene, since we just want to move over to level 2, so I can simply pass to the build index or name of the scene, which is level 2. So what we're gonna do, I'm gonna pass the name of the scene. So inside quotation I'm gonna do which is level 2, and we have to make sure we spell it correct. And now we just done that thing, and we also need to call this function. So this function basically do just gonna do this rest thing. It's gonna activate that fade in, and after 1 second we just gonna load over to our next scene. And basically this function just gonna do that. And in order to call this function, we directly cannot call just like void we calling it just calling. So first thing what we need to do, we need to type this start coroutine, and inside brackets we need to type the function name. So the function name is let me see, which is load next level. So we're gonna put it there, load load next scene, and then we're gonna close that up with semicolon. Now I have to call that load next level function. To do that, I will go over to my victory UI PG, and I'm gonna choose the next button. Then I will go to inspector button component, and we need to click on this plus icon, and we need to drag the game object in which game object the script is sitting on. So in my case scene management, let's drag it there, and we're gonna click on no function. Let's go to scene management C# class or script, and we can see in there we created this load next level function. So let's choose it. It means whenever we're gonna click the next button, it's gonna call out that function which is the load next level. And if we call this function, basically this function call it out this load next in. And load next in, what it's doing, firstly it's activating that fade in, and then after 1 second we just loading up the level we can see. So let's check this out quickly. So now I'm gonna get the victory UI, and if I click the next button, we should see. So let's take a quick look. So if I click on this next button, indeed we can notice that fade in game object gets enabled, and we just loaded over to next level. So inside my next level I just want to have the fade out now. So I'm gonna get out of play mode, and I will move over to my that scene. To do that, I will go over to project tab, assets, then scenes folder, and I'm gonna click on this level 2, and I will click on this save buttons over here. And now I'm gonna move over to my level 2, and I just want to have the fade out. To do that, what I'm gonna do, so the first thing you need to create the canvas. So make sure you just create the canvas first. So make sure you create the canvas. So I will go over to my canvas game object, and the first thing I'm gonna create an empty game object. So let's select the canvas, we're gonna right click on it, let's create an empty child game object, and I'm gonna call this game object fade out. So I'm gonna call it fade underscore out. So I'm gonna choose my fade out, let's right click on it, let's go to UI image, and I'm gonna call this image to something like fade out. So let's call it fade underscore out, and we're gonna make this game object or this image as the size of our sorry. So the first thing we need to make sure we just make this game object basically the fade out, and I just name it this image as fade out. So we also need to make sure, and I will go over to my image component color, and I'm gonna choose dark. And over time what I want to do, I just want to fade out, and also we need to disable the image component after that, or else we're not gonna able to click on those UI buttons. So that's why we need to make sure. So the first thing we need to make the animation. So let's go over to animation tab, we're gonna click on this create button, and I will head over to assets animation folder, and I'm gonna call this animation clip to something like fade underscore out, just like that. And now we're gonna click on this red button to record our animation. Let's move over to 1 second or 60 frame, and then we will go to image component color, and we're gonna make the a in the bottom all the way to the 0. And after 1 second we also need to make sure we just disable it. So I'm gonna uncheck this image component, it means we just disabling it. And if we click on this button, we can see the fade out. And once we satisfied, we can click on this red button to capture it. And we also need to make sure we don't want our animation clip to be loop. So I will go to my animation folder, and I will find out fade out, and let's uncheck the loop time. And now I'm gonna move over to my first level, So let's go to assets, scenes, and I'm gonna double click on this level 1. Let's click on this save, and let's check it out now, and we should see it's gonna be fine. So let's play our game. If we click on this next button, we can see fade in, and once we can see the fade out, and it just happened immediately, but it's totally fine and it's gonna work fine. So I hope you get the idea. Just play around and you're gonna get it how you can do it, and you, just play around and you're gonna get the perfect. So I hope you get the idea that how you can do it, and I will see you in the next upcoming tutorial.